Hello students. So, the first thing I want you to do is find an image that you think represents something about yourself, represents your own artistic flair. So for me, I selected something to do with Lord of the Rings, something that's a book I really like, a set of books I really like. So all I did was look up Elvish Lord of the Rings logo, and what you can do from there to make the image suitable for what we are going to do in our lesson is you can go into settings, you can select advanced search, 3 down, just left click on that one, and you've got a few different options here, but don't be daunted, we're only going to do 2 different things, alright? First you're going to select the image size, which is just going to be the image quality. You're going to go select, left click on that, and scroll down to larger than 2 megapixels, larger than 2 MP. That just increases the image quality, so it looks really good on the finished product. And then all you're going to do is go over to black and white and just select that, because we need a black and white image so that the laser cutter can read it and subsequently print it. Alright, and now all we're going to do is go down to advanced search and left click on that, and that should give us a good search filled with black and white images. Alright, I got a good selection now of different images. I'm just going to scroll about for a bit and see if there's any images I like. I think the one up here was a good one, and I might just select that one. I do like the combination of text and tree. Alright, so I'm just going to double click or right click on this one, right click for those with a mouse, and I'm going to save image as, and it's going to prompt me what kind of image. I'm going to choose a JPEG image. You may be given a PDF option, either is fine, so just save. Alright, and now I can close this down, and as you can see, my image is over here. So now we're going to go into Adobe Illustrator that you have already opened, and what you can do is you can select the type of template that you like up in File and New from Template, and I'm just going to select blank page, and I'm going to go into page size and choose A4 size, and that should be fine for what we're doing. So just create from template, left click on that. Alright, so here we get to start. The first thing we can probably do is create the shape we want our coast to be cut out on. So you got a few different shapes. You got square and circle, and it's all going to be the same, but I'm just going to select the circle feature. So I'm going to left click on that one, and I'm going to left click, hold the mouse, and drag it for how big I want it. If you want to make it square instead of oval, I mean a perfect circle instead of oval, then you should just left click and let go of it. And we're going to go up into this top left corner where you can see different numbers here, and we're just going to change these 2 numbers to the same number, and that will mean the diameter is exactly the same all throughout. So 40 I reckon is a good size for this one, so we're just going to make our diameter of our circle 40. It's the same with a square, you just change the sides instead of the diameter. In fact, I'll do the square as well, just for the sake of the task, and if you want to do it. So you just left click and drag like before, and then we can go width can be 40, and height can be 40, and enter. I might go a bit bigger because I think it's not as big as the circle, so we might go width 60 and height 60. Alright, that's a bit better. Alright, so I'm still going to focus on the circle though, so I'm just going to go over to our selection tool over here. I'm going to left click on that, and then I'm going to left click on the circle. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to make it just so it's an outline and there's no fill in the middle of the circle. So it should just be an outline. You'll see what I mean in a second. So right now, if you go over to this panel over here, you can see there's a fill option here. And you just want to left click on that. And then you also just want to left click on this X over here. So we want to get rid of that fill. So no paint. Now, the circle is gone. But what you can do now is just go over to stroke paint, and then you can choose just a normal solid flat color. So left click on that one. All right, now as you can see, there's an outline that's been formed. That's what we want. And we're just going to change that color to pure red. So that color, pure red, is all the way to the other end of this top R, meaning red, spectrum. And that number will be 255. So if you want to type it in manually, you can just write 255 and then enter. And all the other ones should be 0, except for this one that's right to be 100. All right, so that's done now, that part of it. You've made your circle, and the 255 means the laser cutter will recognize it as a cutting line. So we'll actually cut that circle out. All right, so we'll left click out of that, and the same thing can be done for the square as well. But for the sake of the task, I won't demonstrate that yet. And now we can actually select our image to put in our coaster. So I'm going to left click on the image out in the desktop, and I'm going to drag it into our template. And I'm going to drop it in the template. Now it's actually asked me what I want to do with the image, and I'm just going to leave everything as is. Yeah, it should be fine like that. Just none, auto, from file, and embed the image import type. All right, and just left click OK. And as you can see, the image has now been added in. And if you just use your scroll feature on your mouse to scroll out or in if the image is small, you can just do that so that you can see the whole image in the screen. Alright, so staying on my selection tool, I'm just going to decrease the size of the image using this top corner arrow or this top corner arrow or any of the corner arrows. Alright, so we're just going to left click on that and drag it down. If you want to keep it the same size ratio, so it can actually get elongated in different directions, just hold shift and drag it down. Alright, now we can left click and drag it over to our circle and zoom in on that using your scroll feature again. Alright, and again left click and drag to try and center it. Now what we want to do is we actually want to get rid of this white background. It's not necessarily, we just want the black, alright, for the laser cutter to engrave it. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go into trace bitmap, alright? Fancy word, all it means is that we're just going to make the image engravable for the laser cutter. So left click on that. Alright, now it's got a few different options here. Don't worry too much. All we want to focus on is changing it into the image that's engravable. So all those look fine. Just make sure. All those look fine. You can play around with the smoothness of the translation of the image, but that should be okay as a default setting. So left click on OK for that one, and we can just X out of this. Alright, now we can get rid of this background by going to our more direct selection. So this will actually edit the different aspects of the image. So let's left click on that one. Alright, and we can left click out of the image, so we don't want that image selected. Alright, so now I can left click on the white part, okay? So left click on that, and then go back to your normal selection tool and drag that white part out. Alright, It will look like you've taken the whole thing out, but as you can see, there's still the engraving left there, and it's got no background as well. So just delete that using your delete key on your keyboard, and now we can play around with the positioning of the image. So I'm just gonna make it a little bit more centered. And I like the positioning of that. Looks pretty central. Maybe you might move the circle now instead of the image a few over. You can use your arrow keys to do that. And I'm happy with that. All right, now let's just do one final test of the image. Make sure it's fully engraving ready. And all you just want to do is to make sure it's just black. All right, black means engrave on the laser cutter. So remember when we changed the color of the circle, we're going to do the same thing with the image, but instead of being red 255 over here, we're going to make it pure black. And the way we're going to make it pure black is by changing all these numbers to 0. And as you can see, it's already done. So that's a great thing. Means we don't have to do anything more, but we just wanted to make sure, right? So everything here should be 0 under B, G, and R should be 0. All right. Now, this image is ready to be laser cut. So let's just go File and then Save As. And we're just going to save it as a PDF. So you can save it to your desktop or to a USB that you have, and we're just going to save that as a PDF here. So left click on Save, and that's all done. Left click on OK. And as you can see in my desktop now, there's a new drawing, and that's been saved as a PDF. Alright, thanks for watching my video, and I hope you do well with the task. And we'll be moving on to the time lapse directly after this. Wait for the teacher to instruct you though. Alright, all the best.